City of the Orphans, Chapter 33. They run all the way to Delancey Street. By the time they get there, it's pretty dark. Even so, crowds are thick. The street swarming with carts, trolleys, wagons, the usual people selling and buying, kids all over the place, dodging whatever moves, playing as if they might never play tomorrow. As for house number 624, when Max sees it's a tenement, he's disappointed. Then he reminds himself he don't need rich. On the building's lower level, someone has put a hand-lettered sign inside the right side window. Knowing Willa can't read, Max says it aloud. Lost husband found. Bartley Donk, lawyer, private detective. Helpful if paid. Are we looking for husbands? Asked Willa. All we need is the helpful part. Come on. They go in. The building's entryway is like Max's house. Dim, narrow, smelly, little kids playing jacks on steps. On the right side, a wrapped door with a sign tacked to it. Detective, knock loudly. Max knocks, but gets no answer. Knocks again, louder. No one comes. Presses his ears to the door. Someone's there, he says. Willa says, try the door. Max looks, but there's no doorknob. Just a hole. So he puts his shoulder to the door and shoves. With a pop, the door opens. They're looking into a murky kitchen laid out like Max's house. Some light leaks in from the up front room. What they see is all junk and jumble with roaches scrambling away from half-eaten loaf of bread on the floor. There's a small table but no chairs. On the table, moldy dishes, dirty glasses, a blackened pot, tipped over bottles and papers, no stove, open, books on the floor near a full spittoon. The place reeks of mold. Wheezing noises come from the front room. Snoring, Max whispers, trying not to step on anything, which ain't easy. They go up the front room doorway, look in. The room's like most tenements, with two windows in front. Against one side wall is a large roll-top desk with square components, what people call pigeonholes. Those holes are stuffed with enough papers to look like wasted weeds. Against the opposite wall is a bookcase crammed with dried-out, leather-bound books turned every which way, some of them tumbled to the floor. In front of the desk, there's a high-backed chair with leaky stuffing, and in the chair, slumped over the desk and the papers, there's a man. City of the Orphans, Chapter 34. The guy's bald head, like a moon that's fallen from the sky, is half buried in his arms. At his elbow, an oil lamp is burning, a small blue flame, a curl of black smoke spiraling up into the gloom. On the desk, there's something that looks like a thick rope lying near a pot of ink, from which a pen is sticking out. Looks as if the guy was writing, 'cause in front of him, sheets of paper are covered with scraggly scripts and inky blots. Max and Willa wait. The man snorts and snores. Mr. Donk, Max calls. The man rumbles, making his whole body shake. All the same, he stays dropped over his desk, over his papers. Mr. Donk, Max shouts louder. With a jerk, the man sits up and swivels round. He peers at Willa and Max with bloodshot eyes through small wire-framed eyeglasses, perked with butterfly wings on the tip of his fat, vein-lined nose. Side whiskers give him the look of the bristly chimney brush. When the man breathes, there's a rattle deep in his throat. His chin goes wobbly. Then he makes a couple of hacking coughs that cause his entire body to shudder. Max recognizes him. He's the guy that the kid at the tombs pointed out as a lawyer. The man reaches out a dirty hand, fingers shaking, plunks up that thick rope. It's a rubber tube with the wood bits at each end. One wood end is 3 inches wide, the other end narrow. The guy sticks the narrow end into one ear, holds the fat end toward Willa and Max. What do you want? He demands, his voice loud, thick and gravely. Talk to the tube. I'm mostly deaf. Please, sir, yells Max. Are you Mr. Donk, the detective? What do you want? Advice. About what? My sister. Donk glares at Max. Clearing his throat, he bellows. Have you any idea how many children come to my door wanting me to find fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, all of whom have abandoned them, or who want my legal help when their relations are arrested, evicted, dead? Have you? No, sir, says Max. Hundreds, thousands. I don't, can't, won't give advice to children. He yanks the tube from his ear, turns away, and lurches forward, his head sinking back into his arms. Sir, shouts Max, it's my sister. She's been arrested. She's in the tombs. Donk, not stirring, yells, what did she do? Nothing. The man jerks back up, coughs, snatches up a filthy, spotted handkerchief, wipes away his bloody spittle that's bubbled to his lip, adjusts his eyeglasses, turns and sticks the tube back into his ear. The hopefulness of children, he yells, is equaled only by the naivete. Do you have any idea what I just said? No, sir. I said, children hope for the best and get the worst. Now, get out. He coughs and falls back into his arms. But Max steps forward and shouts, she didn't steal nothing. And they say she'll go to prison. They spoke the truth. Didn't? Says Max angrily. Donk groans, leans back into his chair, shoves his eyeglasses up to his smuggled, bald forehead, rubs his red eyes with dirty thumbs. When he moves, lint leaps from his whiskers like from a dust mop. Our construction, proclaims Donk, wheezing between words, proclaims that a person is innocent until proven guilty. But in this city, innocence costs. Justice costs more. A bribe is what really works, but costs the most. He puts the tube back to his ear. Have you any money? Speak into that tube. Max leans forward. No, sir. All statues of justice show that stained lady to be blindfolded. Do you know why? Don't know what you're talking about. So she can't see how our law actually works, shouts Donk. No money, no justice. Please, sir, Max yells. My sister needs help. Everybody needs help. Donk roars, only to cough so badly that he gasps and has to struggle to clear his throat. What the devil is your name? Max, sir. Max what? Max Gallus. You? He says to Willa, shifting the tube toward her. Willa, Max, says Donk. And it sounds as if he's pleading. I'm poor because I help people who can't help themselves. If I use my time helping your sister, I'll starve. Ergo, I am starving. Please, sir, I don't know what to do. Then you're no different from everybody else in this wretched city. My hands are not so much tied as they are empty, the poet said. Mercy has a human heart. What he should have written is, money is the human heart. Now get out. If I had any strength, I'd throw you out. Donk yanks the tube from his ear and flings himself back into his arms. The only sound in the room is his rattling breath. After a moment, Willa goes up to him, hesitates, and then pokes him with her stick. Donk jerks up and shoves the tube back into his ear, glares at Willa. Did you just hit me? You don't have to help us, Willa shouts. Just tell us what to do. What the devil does that mean? We know all about detectives, says Willa. How could you? Because she says, we read stories called The Brady's and the Missing Diamonds. Donk's jaw drops. His face turns red and coughs, struggles to speak, then manages, his mouth full of pink spittle, and to shout. Poppycock, utter poppycock. If you could just tell us how to start, we could do it, Willa says. Breathing heavily, wiping his lips, Donk considers with Willa balefully. Why are you carrying that stick? In case we're attacked. By whom? A gang, says Max. The plug uglies. Have they attacked you? Yes, sir. Why? I'm a newsie, sir, says Max. They wanted my money. Willa saved me. Did she? Donk stares at Willa again and takes a deep clouded breath. Lucky you, he mutters then. Did you truly believe that? That story you read? It was written by a detective, Max says. A city detective. It's nonsense, cries Donk. Garbage. His shouting exhausts him. It takes a few moments of heavy breathing before he says, Why haven't your parents come? Max says, They don't know how. What does that mean? They're new to America. Immigrants. Max nods. Don't understand the way things are done here. Do you? Do you? I was born here, says Willa, and being birthed on this soil has having read that stupid story you have what and being birthed on this soil and having read that stupid story you have what? Wisdom? Please, sir, says Max. I'm just trying to help my sister. The truth is, cries Donk, nobody denies they are immigrants more often than the children of immigrants. Are you immigrant children or all orphans with parents? Fa, it's a city of orphans. Donk flings his hearing tube down and grabbing a rosewood cane, heaves himself up. Unsteady on his feet, he moves to the window. Using his ragged sleeve, he rubs the glass with shaky fingers, smearing grime away till he makes a loop-sided circle. He peers into the dark street. I believe, he says, his back to Max and Willa, there are more wretched children on the streets than any other of this species. My lord, he suddenly shouts, the question before the heavenly court today is this. Do you wish any children to survive in this miserable city? This city of orphans? Max and Willa stare at him. Donk stays by the window, looking out, coughing, his body jolting. My sister coughs a lot too, says Max. Donk turns, lurches towards his desk, and snatches up his listening tube. What did you say? My sister coughs a lot. The sister in jail? A different one. Consumption, Donk yells. Wasting disease. Tuberculosis. The cure, expensive if it works. Each year. He shouts, thousands in this filthy city die of it. Each month, each week, each day. Annually, this city has more than 1 million cases of illness. Smallpox, diphtheria, typhoid, tuberculosis. I am no exception. You are petitioning a doomed man. He glares at Max and Willa with bleary eyes as if they were coming to bring him death. Donk shuts his eyes, breathes deeply, raggedly. If I were to teach you my skills, he says, would you willingly become lawyer and detective for the thousands of children in the shameful city? Yes, sir, says Willa, with your bulgion, Donk sneers, with which you so ruddily struck me, so that when the children come looking for relations who have abandoned or abused them, you could beat their oppressors? What's an oppressor? Max asks. God protect the ignorant, yells Donk. Is your goal to starve along with me? I don't eat much, says Willa, and I just want to help my sister. Max pleads. The kids wait. You, Donk suddenly cries, pointing 2 fingers right at Max. This morning on the steps of the tombs, you stared at me. Taken by surprise, Max can only nod. What? Demands Donk. Was I carrying in my hands? Your hands? Are you too deaf? With Donk and Willa staring at him, Max thinks furiously. Nothing. In your hands. He stammers, hoping he's right. 2 books tucked under your arms. The books were stuffed with papers. The only noise in the room is Donk's breathing. Good, Donk finally mutters. Very good. You have eyes that see. Very well, he cries. Why not? This is America, the New World, the noble experiment. Supposedly God's country. Fa! My Dutch ancestors began this city. It's time I was replaced. A new century comes soon to haul away my rich carcass. When that moment arrives, you'll be of age. But I, Bartleby, Donk, shall be dead, dumped into a pauper's grave. The uncommon man snuck into the common city clay. He drops into his chair. Sir, says Max cautiously, you saying you'll help us. Do you wish to know why? Because you believed that pathetic story you read. I have an obligation to my profession to guide you from your pathetic influence of that junk. Besides, I admire loyal women, Donk says. Looking at Willa, looking at Max, he says, you seem to be able to use your eyes. Therefore, cries Donk, pointing a dirty fat finger at Max, you can be my farewell gift to this doomed city. A boy detective. City of the Orphans, Chapter 35. Donk coughs a few more times. All right, he says, aiming his listening tube at Max. Tell me what happened to your sister, all you know. When Max tells Donk what Emma told him, The detective listens, coughing now and then, wheezing, but saying nothing till Max is done, which don't take long. Is that all? What she told me. To summarize, says Donks, your sister was accused of stealing a gold watch. This occurred at the New Waldorf Hotel, where she works. She denies she took it, but the watch was found beneath her pillow. Conclusive evidence. I should say, not surprisingly, she's arrested, but in jail. Everything correct? No, sir. Why? Wasn't the watch they found just the chain? For the first time, Donk smiles. Ah, good. You can listen, too. Have you been to the Waldorf? Walked my sister there. It's new. Cost $4 million. A store dollars to build. Not merely big. Colossal. 13 stories with more than 500 rooms. 1,000 servants, of whom your sister was but one. She was, is, always will be replaceable. What else do you know about the Waldorf? My sister told me rich people stay there. Rich. Fa! They claim only the best people patronize the establishment. The Waldorf is the most elegant hotel in New York. In America. The world, perhaps. Dear God, the rooms even have their own bathrooms. They wouldn't use people like you and me for doormats. What did your sister do there? Cleaned rooms. How lucky for her. Her name? Emma. Emma Gellis. Emma Gellis. After dipping his pen in the ink bottle, Donnick writes the name on a scrap of paper. For a few moments he stares at it, coughing. Max says, Can you help, sir? Donk holds up a flat, and dirty hand. Advice only. You, the boy detective, will do all the work. I've work to do. Return tomorrow, same time. Now get out. Thank you, sir. City of the Orphans, Chapter 36. Willa and Max step out to the street. Willa says, I didn't understand half the things he said. Did you? Max shakes his head. Pretty strange. Sure ain't no money spinner. Willa says, Think he'll really help? Max shrugs. Don't know what else to do, but it's hard shouting at him. He thought I was your sister. Don't mind. He's pretty sick, says Willa. All the coughing and spitting blood. My mother was like that, before she died. I think it's what Agnes has. Agnes don't cough that much. She should go to the doctor, Max says. My parents are saving for a bit. My parents are saving for it, but now they stand for a while, gazing at the crowded street until Max says, Come on, we better get home. Can we go to my alley first? How come? I need to get something. What? You'll see. City of the Orphans, Chapter 37. Willa and Max make their way through the evening crowds of men and women, factory and office workers. Though people look tired, laughter can be heard as peddlers and pushcart dealers cry out last goods. When night falls, so do the prices. As they go along, Willa and Max don't talk much. Willa is lost in her thoughts. Max is thinking about Donk, how odd the mug was, and wondering if he can teach him anything that'll free Emma. He's also worrying on the next day. He needs to bring Mama to Emma. Gotta tell his sister he's getting her help. Same time, he ain't so sure if he should tell his parents about Donk. Not certain they'll like his going to a detective. Don't take too long to reach Willa's alley. Some street light seeps in, making it look like a hallway to nowhere. Save for the same old smelly garbage. It's deserted. They step in, Max holding Willa's stick while she climbs the fence. When she's gone, Max can't help thinking of her living in the place. He's glad she's coming to Brigham Street. When Willa pops back up, he's surprised by what she brings. A small blue tin box, the kind in which candy comes, and an old doll. The doll's head is chipped hard china, yellowish white, with only one glass eye and a floppy cloth body. Its dress is tarted. I got it when I was a little girl, Willa says. She's clutching the doll and box tightly, as if they're important. The box rattles. What's in there? Max asks. Show you later. They start walking back down the alley, Max still holding Willa's stick. Next second, Bruno Derby, cocked back on his head, lit cigar in hand, is standing at the entrance. He's blocking their way. City of the Orphans, Chapter 38. Willa and Max are too scared to move. As for Bruno, he don't do nothing but stand there, grinning, puffing his cigar. The cigar's ash glow makes his red hair shine, lights the tip of his ears. His squinty eye seems to glint with glee. Max thinks of the devil. Hey, Max Mug, Bruno calls. Still got that skinny girl protection? Use? Max moves Willa's stick so Bruno can see it. Just so yous understand, says Bruno. I knows where you live, knows where you sell your stupid papers. So me and my guys are watching. Pretty soon, we're gonna catch you cold and plunk yous down dead. And when we do, we're gonna get your girlfriend too. Soak the street with your blood, both of you. Then he gives a fake horse laugh, steps out of the alley, and is gone. Willa and Max, she's clutching her doll and box. He's finding it hard to breathe, heart beating wildly, are afraid to move. They wait for something to happen, but nothing does, so it seems Bruno is really gone. Max gives a sigh, says, we ain't never gonna be rid of him. Willa don't say nothing, just stands there looking down. Max takes a deep breath. Come on, he says, we need to get home. But you don't have to come with me if you don't want. Willa spins on him, face full of fury. Starts to speak but can't. Instead, she turns and faces the wooden fence. Hey, what's the matter, says Max. How come I'm always saying something wrong? Willa shakes her head. Is it Bruno? Come on. I was goose fleshly too. Willa just looks at him. Hey, you gotta tell me what it is. Not moving, Willa says, Don't you want me to go back to your house? Hey, sure I do, says Max. We're pals, ain't we? Only saying you don't have to be part of this mess. It was me who put you in it. I mean, it's me Bruno's after. It's me too, she yells. Okay, sure. You want me to come or not? Honest, my mother said you should. Willa faces him. What do you think? You never say, no, really? Thought I did. Look, we're gonna do this together, ain't we? My sister. Bruno. All of it. But what? What if we can't? Willa cries. What if he does what he says? Or can't help your sister? Or what if we can't do anything? I don't want to stay here anymore. I hate it, and I'm scared. I'm really scared. She stands there sobbing. Max, full of his own misery, says, Come on, Willa. Don't know what else to do. We gotta try, right? Maybe that donk guy will help. But if you and me don't do it together, it's gotta be worse. What I think, honest, come on. Willa, her crying less, just looks at him. Max says, We gonna be friends, right? Willa leans back against the fence. Okay, she says, voice easier, stealing a look at Max to be sure that he's still there, that she hasn't chased him away. Next moment, she jumps forward. Did I get my dress dirty, she says, showing him her back. A few smudges, but Max says, nothing really. Will your mama be mad? She likes everything clean. Willa, it's the city. Even the stinking air is dirty. Mama knows. Come on. Let's go home and eat. I'm starving. He takes a step toward the street. Willa holds back. You really sure you want me there? How many times do I have to say it? There are so many people in your... Hey, a few months ago, we had my uncle, aunt, and their 5 kids when they came over. All kinds of relatives come. People from our old town just show up. Where do they sleep? Max shrugs. Always find room. Come on. Willa takes a deep breath. I need to show you something first. What? Not here. Fine, Max says. Glad she's coming. Glad to get out of the alley.